So when we talk about a complex system like a continuous emission monitoring system, these kind of systems need LTC, love, tender and care. But how to service such a system, how to give it the care it needs, and who will perform this service?
And here today Felix Baha will bring some light into the dark, and we will hear from Dr. Fabian Koch about the field experience and why scrubbers and why service is playing an important role. Hello Felix, hello Reute, the stage is yours, Felix.
Thank you, Hinrich. Indeed, each technical equipment needs service at some point. I will take over for the next 15 minutes to explain you our service approach. My name is Felix Baha. I'm a service product manager working for the company SICK since 2008. So why is service so important? First of all, we have heard the SEMS is a very essential part of the scrubber system. We need the measurement values in order to be compliant, so we can avoid high penalties or we have to switch to alternative fuels. However, or hence, this availability has such a high priority, so we need to make sure our equipment is in a good working condition. But in the maritime industry, we also face two different challenges. On the one hand side, we have very harsh environmental conditions, such as high temperatures in the process, contamination and pollution, rough conditions at sea, or vibration at the stack. So we need to take care for our equipment. We need to check it from time to time. We have to clean it. We have to change some consumables such as filters and so on. On the other hand side, we have heard we had a first wave of installations. So we installed a massive amount of new systems. So that was not only a big challenge for the suppliers like SICK or the scrubber manufacturers, but especially for the ship operators. They are facing now a new complex system aboard. They have to take care for it, but they have limited knowledge about it. And this comes with another challenge. We talk about moving targets. So vessels are sailing at the sea, so we have limited access from the outside. So the customer is first of all based on his own in the first place. But before we go more into detail, now it's time to hear the opinion of an expert. I had the chance to talk to Dr. Fabian Koch from the Classification Society DNV. He took the time to share his experience on scrubbers and its subsystems with us. So please join me and have a look at the video now.
Today we welcome Dr. Fabian Koch from the Classification Society DNV. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for the kind invitation to the SICK Ocean Conference. It's really a big pleasure for me to be part of it.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here. Fabian, as head of the section Environmental Certification, you have been in close contact with many scrubber systems or also exhaust gas cleaning systems. In the recent years, many of those systems have been installed. And now we would like to talk about your personal experience with those scrubbers and its subsystems. So, in retrospect, what are the remarkable aspects from the service point of view?
One important subsystem of a scrubber, of course, are sensors. And sensors are complex systems. We all know that. And they are not only used for safety issues, related issues, however, gain more and more importance also when it comes to environmental compliance. And on top of that, sensors are being more and more used also for instance, for condition-based maintenance. However, when we see the bigger picture and also think about connectivity, like connectivity of ships to onshore, then of course sensors are quite important subsystems which really require a closer look.
Okay. Thank you. What are the key points to be considered when approving such an GCS?
Yeah, scrubbers, of course, first of all, when it comes to the approval process, we have to make sure that the safe operation of the vessel is not influenced. So only a safe vessel is also an environmentally friendly vessel. For that reason, first of all, we check class-related rules, which are ensuring the safe operation of the ship. Here, DNV is also mandatorily requiring additional class notation, emission reduction. On top of that, there is also possibility for voluntary qualifiers, enhanced safety, That might require then also higher redundancies or also other failure checks even. Besides that, of course, the correct functioning and emission reduction potential of the scrubber also has to be checked. That is also based on approval documentation, however, finally approved by onboard surveys of a running scrubber.
Okay, thank you. So safety and reliability are very important to remain compliant. Can you explain which part of the scrubber system itself is mainly or mostly affected by malfunctions?
Yes, of course. DNV was also highly interested in that question, also in order to update our rules. And for that reason, last year we conducted our second scrubber experience survey, and from what we learned from that anonymous survey was actually that 50% of the answers said that sensors are most prone to failure, closely followed by corrosion issues. This anonymous survey, of course, we couldn't get any further details. However, I just before the interview, I looked into our reporting system, and there I could identify 300 scrubber-related failure cases in the last 12 months, and 80 out of those were actually related to sensor failures.
Okay, so that means that the sensors are a big or important part of the system, and they often fail, for example, emission monitoring systems or water analyzers. What is the main cause for the malfunction and how can it be avoided?
The main technical causes in the most cases we also don't know about. However, what we see is that maintenance of sensors is an important issue, and in case the maintenance is not following the instructions, of course, then the sensors are more prone to failure. On top of that, we also have to keep in mind how ships are operating. They operate in harsh, possibly harsh environments, and also the crew might change quite often, meaning that the crew might not be aware of the importance of the systems, how to maintain the system. So I could say that better crew training could also support to keep the sensor failures at a lower level.
Okay, so in that context, maintenance is very important. Changing vessel crews,
training
leads to lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
So training is also an important part. Okay, thank you. One last question for today. According to MEPC 74, non-functional sensors have to be reported within 1 hour to the flag state. What kind of consequences does that have for the vessel itself, and how can it be avoided?
From what we learned also from our experience and date, our direct access to our clients, and also from our experience surveys, that in case of sensor failure, most operators now are switching to compliant fuel oils. Of course, they then have higher operational costs. However, IMO also allows for other means to show compliance in case of a sensor failure. However, that is not really closely described in detail what has to be reported in those cases, and most operators are struggling how to show compliance in case of a sensor failure. That is why DNV and also other stakeholders are working on offering more advanced technology in order to have a backup in case of a physical sensor failure. And here, of course, big data and artificial intelligence might really support the owners to show compliance in case of a physical sensor failure.
Okay, thank you. So you would agree that besides switching to alternative fuel, digital solutions and big data becomes more and more important for the maritime industry.
Fully supported. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. Fabian Koch from DNV. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your experience with us.
Thank you.
So I'm back. What can we take from that interview? First of all, the safe operation of the system is a prerequisite for the compliance of the vessel. That's very important. It has to be in running conditions. You also heard the sensors are very sensitive. So 30 to 50% of all malfunctions of the scrubber systems are based on the sensors, for example, the water analyzer system or the SEMS. Hence, we have to make sure we take good care for the equipment. The question is, what are the service requirements? What can we do in order to avoid such malfunctions? So first of all, very important, regular maintenance, Maintenance is by far the most effective way to prevent the system from failing. On the second-hand side, we also heard the knowledge aboard is very important. So we have the vessel crew who is supposed to take care of the equipment. So they have to be trained. They need to know what to do. And we also heard that this vessel crew is often changing. So the knowledge gets lost. And that means we need to make sure that all our customers have access to the right information to train themselves quite easily and fast in order to be able to perform the maintenance on the system. How can we ensure that those requirements are met from our side? So what is the SIG service approach? On the one hand side, first of all, we aim for a close cooperation with our customers. So we want to find the best solution for each individual customer. And we also want to gain a maximum transparency, which means we would like to show what kind of services have to be done, what kind of maintenance intervals do we have. The second point, competence development, already mentioned. We need to make sure that our customers are aware of what they have to do. So we have different training modules from basic maintenance, installation and commissioning for the scrubber manufacturers, as well as deep device knowledge. We can offer different training modules. And besides that, of course, SIG has a worldwide network. We are aiming for the strategic parts of the maritime industry to be at the spots where we are needed in order to support you in the best way. We have a growing network, so we invest a lot of time and resources in order to grow. And this is all combined also with the smart device design, which is specifically made for the maritime industry. So we have a modular-based system. In case we have a malfunction, we can easily, reliably, and fast exchange modules to keep the system running. We have tried to visualize that service approach in a short video, so please take the time now and have a look at the video with me. So this was SIG's maritime service strategy in a nutshell. If you are interested in our service portfolio or further information, we have generated a so-called maritime service landing page for you. So please visit sig.com/maritime-services. There you will find more information. We keep this place up to date. So for example, you find a template and contact information to give us a call at any time. You find links to all our service services we offer to the complete service portfolio. You also find information at which spots or which places we are available, as well as you will also find an outlook of future developments, as we heard in the interview with Dr. Fabian Koch. Also, the smart services will find their way into the maritime industry. Now it's time to come to an end, and I would like to close my session with a statement from a previous section, the interview from Wärtsilä. And the statement is, the partnership approach is an important success in securing high quality. So you are invited to team up with SICK. We are very happy to hear from you. Now I have to thank you for your attention. I will hand over back to Waldkirch, and I'm interested in what kind of questions we have in our chat.
Thank you very much, Felix, for this interesting presentation. I think it really showed clearly that the maintenance is important and what possibilities we have here for a reliable working system. Let's see what we have in the chat for you and what kind of questions. So, who do I contact if I have a service request? So not only where do I get some information about the opportunities, who do I actually contact?
Yeah, well, you can either contact, of course, your local subsidiary. If you have the local contact information, you find that on our main homepage, sick.com, of course. But on the other hand side, as just introduced, we have this landing page. There you will find one specific email address, which is checked by different SSUs or different local subsidiaries around the globe at any time during the working hours. So there is no need to find a specific contact, just send your information to that specific email address that you can find on our Maritime landing page.
Sounds pretty easy, thank you. Then maybe what is the service response time usually at the moment, and how are you going to improve it?
Yeah, the one point is that we try, as explained in the service approach, to prevent the systems from failing. So maintenance is our main focus. As maintenance, we usually don't need fast response times because the system keeps in good operation. On the other hand side, we build a so-called golden port structure. As said, we have strategic ports evaluated around the globe, which are most frequented by our own fleet. And there we place our technicians, our experts, plus material gases and so on, tools, in order to be able to react as fast as possible.
Sounds good. Maybe one last question. Does SICK plan or have already published YouTube videos for basic level maintenance?
If you go to YouTube, you will find currently exactly one YouTube video there. But we have a lot of material. We have web-based trainings where you can find all this material as well. So if you have a need of service material, videos, and so on, please get in touch with us.